Selling on Etsy is too hard. I'm just quitting my shop. Hey, I'm Duthie. I've been selling on Etsy for 11 years. Now, have you heard people saying this? Selling on Etsy is too difficult. Let me know in the comments below what you've heard that make you worry about selling on Etsy. And yeah, before we get started, no, I'm not quitting my shop. I don't believe selling on Etsy is too difficult at all. But let's talk about some of the things that people say. There's too much competition. There's just too few buyers. Etsy doesn't advertise enough. Fees keep on going up and up. My items are not ranking in search. Etsy keeps changing things. People say that Etsy might just close my shop for no reason. I don't have any control over how my shop looks. I hear about buyers trying to scam. It's not fair. I have to drive my own traffic to my shop. So let's investigate these. Is it true? Etsy is too hard and we should shut up shop and go somewhere else, do something else, open our own website, use a different platform. Let's think about this. So there's too much competition on Etsy. While it is true, there is a lot of competition on Etsy. Why is this a bad thing? This is the biggest and best platform for creative people selling creative things, for creative people making a living. Strangely, it's second only to YouTube for people who are creative making money. eBay, Folksy, Amazon Handmade, these are all for creative people, for people making something. These are all small fry compared to Etsy. So where there is all these sellers, the buyers are going to come. It's getting a name for itself. Year on year, there are more buyers coming into Etsy. And so saying there's too few buyers, year on year, there are more buyers coming into Etsy. Yeah, there are more sellers as well. But one special thing about crafty people you might have noticed. Crafty people buy crafty things. Crafty people are more likely to spend money to purchase handmade gifts. They're more likely to understand the work that went into them, and they're more likely to pay the money. They're more likely to be buying supplies. They're more likely to have a room filled with crafts they've never even tried yet. So lots of sellers is not a bad thing either. All the sellers are probably bigger buyers than just the other random people that come in once in a blue moon. Etsy don't advertise enough. Actually, they do. They advertise a fair bit. They've paid for national television adverts in several countries. They also pay money for Google adverts on our behalf. I mean, actually, I've seen people worried and complaining because they see their items on other people's websites, but this is not, well, yeah, sometimes it is other people have stole their listings and they're scamming people. But quite often the time, if you see it says the wee ad on it, what that means is that website or blog is allowing Google to show adverts. So your listing showing up there, that's a direct link back to your shop. And Etsy's paid for it. But also, if you were going to go somewhere else, when was the last time you saw an advert for Folksy? Or if you set up your own website, who's paying for your adverts then? So yeah, it might be nice if Etsy did more advertising, but they're still doing a fair amount, and it's way more than you would be able to afford to do if you were on your own. The fees keep on going up and up. Okay, first of all, they don't really. The actual fee increase last year was the first one since I've been on Etsy. Okay, there are other fees coming in. It sounds like it's more expensive because now we have to go through the Etsy checkout. So you're getting the fees added for the currency transfer there, and that used to be handled by PayPal, but these were still things you had to pay for before. And you're also seeing the VAT probably coming out of your profits as well, but yeah, that's legal stuff. But Etsy fees are still some of the lowest of any online selling platform. And even if you set up your own website, you're still going to have to pay someone for the currency transfer. You're still going to have to pay for hosting your own website and owning your own domain name. So there's expense. And if you go into bricks and mortar, even more so if your items are selling in a shop, you're likely to be getting 40-50% of the sale price. 50-60% in fees. So yeah, Etsy at around 15% depending on the price of your item. Just factor that into your sale price. My items are just not ranking in search. Okay, that's tough. That's horrible. We all suffer that. However, if you were on any other platform, you also have to learn and abide by their SEO terms, which can be different and some can be very difficult. There's no promise that you'll be ranking on their platform. And if you have your own website, if you set up your own online shop, you're paddling in the difficult waters of Google SEO. And trust me, it is many times more difficult to rank on Google than it is to rank on Etsy. I would actually suggest running an Etsy shop first to start understanding about SEO, and then you can take that knowledge into trying to rank for Google SEO, because the learning curve is so steep. Etsy keeps changing things. They change how the SEO is. They change their policies. It's not fair. Change is a thing that's going to happen. Etsy makes changes. They have to. It's keeping experimenting to try and make sure that they've got the best experience for shoppers on the platform. But not only that, everything else is changing, so Etsy has to change to stay up to date. Certain things like different laws, changes from EU laws or changes from American tax laws impact online sellers, and Etsy thankfully tries to stay ahead of this and keep us right. If you were running your own shop, you would have to figure out what we had to do with all the different laws for all the different countries. That sounds like a nightmare. And not only that, if you're complaining about the SEO changing, I've got some bad news for you. Google SEO, Google search engine algorithm, changes many times, up to several hundred times a year. There are changes. Not all of them big, but there are changes. And Google don't announce every single change. People are flailing around in the dark trying to figure things out. So yeah, Etsy changes, but so does everybody else, and it's just as hard. People are saying Etsy might just close up my shop for no reason. Now, yeah, you're going to see this in the forums from time to time. Obviously, on any platform, we don't own Etsy. We don't have any rights, and they can cancel us at any time. However, we're making them money, so they don't want to do that. In general, if you're following by their rules, they're not going to shut your shop unless it's by mistake. There are a few things, check, read the rules, make sure you're keeping right with everything. But Etsy don't want to shut your shop. So I wouldn't worry about this too much. We'll cover at the end things to think about. But I wouldn't not sell on Etsy because you're worried they're going to close your shop. Any platform can choose to ban you from selling, can close your account. It's in their rules. But to be honest, Etsy don't do it as often as it feels like they do it. Because at the end of the day, if it happens to someone, the first thing they're going to do is be all over the internet mentioning it. So the fact you're only seeing it a few times a year says it's not that common. Can't control how my shop looks. And that is very true. We have some functionality, especially if you've got the Etsy Plus account. However, yeah, Etsy shops all look fairly similar. However, Etsy is working all the time to get the best seller experience. So they try and have the shop layouts that work best for buyers, and they are updating that and tweaking that. And we can change how it feels with our banners and our photography. But basically, it's not always a bad thing. Graphic design, making things look pretty and functional, that's again a big industry. People have that as their full-time jobs. It's difficult. And website design. Okay, a lot of website building software makes this a bit easier, but it still can be fairly tricky to figure out exactly how you want everything to look, figure out your branding, pick all the colours, the fonts, everything, and get a store set up that's looking good. So yeah, we don't have that much control with Etsy, but sometimes full control is a bit of a nightmare. I'm worried the buyers are going to be trying to scam me. And again, okay, this happens. We read it about it in the forums. But it happens a lot less than you think. We also have Etsy and PayPal have your back in quite a lot of instances, and if you've got decent policies in place and you've stuck by your policies and not let your customer down, then usually you're covered. And if you have made a mistake, sometimes you have to eat it up. Sometimes you're going to lose a bit of profit because you messed things up. So yeah, sorry about that. But in the main, the vast majority of customers, 99.9% of my customers have been amazing, super people that have gone above and beyond to be lovely. So yeah, don't let the one or two potentially bad apples spoil things for you. Check your policies make sense. If something happens that you didn't expect, edit your policies later on and protect yourself from it in the future. It's not fair, I have to drive all my own traffic. Well, you kind of don't. As I mentioned, the Etsy search is far easier than the Google search, and Etsy are even paying for Google adverts and all sorts of things for us. But no matter where you are, you're going to have to drive your own traffic. And you're looking and saying, well, if I'm having to drive my traffic anyway, I'll be better off having my own website. But like I've said, having your own website, the SEO and everything for that is a lot harder. It's harder to get seen. So what I'm going to recommend is Etsy is not bad at all. I love Etsy, obviously. Don't have all of your eggs all in the one basket. You want to future-proof yourself. So be thinking ahead to the future. Collect your followers in a mailing list or have them on a social media group, say Facebook, whatever platform you're actually most comfortable using. Even start to build your own website, and you can direct people there by every sale in your shop. Pop in a business card that contains your website address. But don't write off Etsy. Etsy is like the easy button, the easy way in to get started. I know it doesn't feel like it, but trust me, if it was easy to run your own site, if it was easy to do these things by yourself, then Etsy wouldn't exist. So much better use Etsy to get yourself started, but don't only use Etsy. Don't spread yourself too thin trying to do 200 different things at once. Put your main focus on Etsy, and as you're starting growing, start spreading out to other things as well. But no, Etsy's hard. It's not too hard. It's well worth doing Etsy.